せないもの愛だけ夢だけ君だけそれだけは離さないどんな時でも何が欲しい何がしたいどこに行きたい闇を避けて走り抜けて掴み取れ進んだ
Hi everybody, this is Kevin and welcome back to another anime review. And today I'll be sharing my thoughts on the 1998 classic Outlaw Star, which I just finished rewatching, and I had to say this is one of the best. And one of the anime series that you can throw in there with things to show people who aren't necessarily into anime, like Cowboy Bebop, Death Note, things like that. You can show them to people and say, watch this and you'll like anime, and I feel like they will because it was fantastic, man. And this one gets compared to Bebop quite a bit because it is pretty similar. They're both produced by Sunrise, and 26 episodes. They take place in outer space, and they have overarching plots, but they also have a lot of episodes you can just watch as one-offs. Like, in particular, Cowboy Bebop, my favorite episode in that one was the one when they're tripping on mushrooms, and Ed and Ein are going on their adventure. That's my all-time favorite episode of Cowboy Bebop. Whereas in this one, my favorite one is probably either the hot spring one, which is sort of connected to the plot, or the one when they're wrestling. That one's good too. When Gene's cross-dressing to wrestle for Fred, oh, that one's hilarious. But yeah, great series. And I was actually asked this a few weeks ago during one of my live streams, which one I prefer, whether I prefer Cowboy Bebop or Outlaw Star. And at the time I said, well, probably Bebop, because I was still rewatching Outlaw Star, so I didn't really have anything to go on. I hadn't watched it in years, so I was on like episode 5 by the time I was asked that question. But after rewatching it here, I have to say, I prefer this one. I prefer the overarching story in this one, and this might be controversial, but I prefer the characters. I think the characters in this one are all great. It has a main cast of 5 characters. You have the titular hero, Gene Starwin, his, not his brother or anything, but he sort of takes the mantle of being the older brother to young Jim Hawking. There's also Melfina, the android woman. We have Suzuka, the samurai, who interesting note of this series here is that it's in outer space and it's like futuristic and all that, but they also use magic. And Suzuka, the samurai woman, she wields this stick as her weapon. You would think she would probably be wielding a katana, but no, she's just wielding a stick, and as she's using it, she's like casting spells and shit. So just some great stuff with that. And then the final member being Aisha Clan of the Kataro, which is like a cat girl, and she can actually transform into almost like a tiger. It's not even a cat, but she has the characteristics of a cat. And great cast of characters. As far as the villains, the main villains I would say are the McDougal brothers. We have Ron and Harry McDougal, which the overarching plot with that is there's some flashbacks of Gene being sent in an escape pod by his father many years ago, and the ship, the El Dorado, being piloted by the McDougal brothers, destroying Gene's father's ship and effectively killing Gene's father, with Gene surviving in the escape pod and seeking retribution for the 2 men who killed his father. You also have Lord Hazanko and the Anten 7. I think, is the Anten 7 or the Anten 5? I forget. I think it's the Anten 7. That makes more sense, doesn't it? I don't fucking remember. But Lord Hazanko and his elite group of mercenaries who are looking for the galactic ley line to find unlimited power. And there's also this mad scientist guy who wants to find the galactic ley line to get all the knowledge he wants and all that. So, in the midst of all this, Gene is just this regular old outlaw who is minding his own business, doing these odd jobs, taking out these pirates, and comes across this woman named Hilda, who takes him on an adventure where they find this box where Melfina is in the box, and they take her out, and they're looking for the galactic ley line, to which really early on, Hilda actually dies, which is quite a shock because you would think she would be joining the group and be there from the get-go, but she dies and sort of just tells Gene, like, oh, Melfina has the answers you seek, just stay with her, find the galactic ley line, and that's it. So Gene just gets roped into going on this adventure where he finds this ship, the Outlaw Star, with the help of Hilda, and that's how she dies, actually. The pirates are pursuing her and the ship, and they end up destroying all the other pirates, but Hilda's out floating in space and then blows up with the other pirate chick who's casting a spell, and then Hilda's like, fuck it, I'll go sacrifice myself. So Gene's out there, and he comes across all his other, all the other ladies who are joining the crew with him, like Aisha and Suzuka, and there's this guy named Fred Lowe who Gene is friendly with, and he's always short on money, so he's looking for Fred for these odd jobs, And the first thing that happens is Suzuka's on a mission to assassinate Fred, and Gene's in the way and ends up, doing quite well. He's got what's known as caster shells. So I'd mentioned that Suzuka has this wooden, sword almost, this wooden stick really that she uses as a katana. And there's magic in this series, and Gene has a pistol which he uses what's known as caster shells, where he calls out like the name, or the level of the shell, like caster shell number 9, and it's the power level or whatever, and he fires these magical bullets. So there's some really cool stuff. It's like a futuristic setting where they're piloting ships and stuff, and they're almost like mechs. Like the ship that they pilot, the Outlaw Star, has these mechanical arms, and it's like almost wrestling with the other ships with their arms. So it's almost like mech battles in outer space as well. But yeah, it's got pretty much episodic episodes where they have their hijinks, like he's battling Suzuka, and then Suzuka agrees to accompany him, and same thing with Aisha. This is early on when Gene is leaving a certain planet. He escapes and gets Aisha in trouble with the Kataro, and she's banished from the kingdom and is has to stay on the planet that she was on, and can't leave, and she's looking for the galactic ley line to find money, and keeps running into Gene, and she's like, "I'll kill you, Gene Starwood, you've done horrible things to me." And she's like pretty OP because she could transform, so she's beating the crap out of him, and eventually decides to join him. And there's all these like gag scenes of her where she's trying to make this extra money, and she's like a waitress or whatever, but she starts eating the food before she's serving it, so some gag humor in it there. Interesting enough too, like this series, it came out in 1999 in Japan. But I was just looking on the Wikipedia before doing this video. It aired, and I remember seeing this on Cartoon Network. It aired on Cartoon Network in 2001 in the afternoons, and then they moved it to Adult Swim, late at night in 2002, because there's a lot of like things that went over my head when I was younger. A lot of like edgy humor. There's the hot spring episode where you can see like full on nipples, so they probably cut that back in the day or else heavily edit it. But within the first few episodes, like, just the sexual innuendos, Gene constantly mentions, like, "I haven't popped my space cherry." And it's like, watching that as a kid totally went over my head. And I can only imagine my parents listening to that, like, "What the hell is our son watching over there?" So I find that funny. I watched it dubbed, of course. And, I didn't really recognize many of the dubbed voice actors, aside from Wendy Lee, who voices Suzuka. But, a very good dub. They all did a great job. Like, honestly, like old school 90s dubs, people criticize them because they're so corny, but I love them. I love the goofy factor to them and that whole thing. But yeah, eventually they get the whole crew together and they're searching for the galactic ley line. They run into the Anten 7 and Lord Hazanko, and multiple times they run into the McDougal brothers, Ron and Harry. At first of which they're at the behest of Fred Lowe, they're in a race, an outer space race with the spaceships and whatnot, and Gene sees the El Dorado, to which he finds Harry, and instead of worrying about the race, he's chasing after him. And we actually find out that Harry is a cyborg himself. At the start of the series, he just has like a cybernetic arm, which he tries to like hack into the computer with Melfina, because Melfina is a full-on android. And to pilot the Outlaw Star, she like submerges herself in water and becomes one with the ship. And, Harry like hacks in and sees that she's a cyborg and sort of falls in love with her. And there's this whole thing going on there where, Gene really doesn't have any regard for anyone but himself. He's just looking for the galactic ley line. He's roped into all these characters and stuff. And some tension about halfway through with Melfina where, she sort of gets a soft spot for Harry because he's a cyborg as well. And, Gene's like, "Oh, we can't have that. Fuck the McDougals." So, some great stuff, great action scenes. Just like the animation is so well done. It's got like that 90s aesthetic. The music is great. The theme song there, which you heard the theme song with the intro. Hopefully I don't get like copyright struck or have to remove it in the editing process, but we'll see what happens. But there's like a ringtone. A certain character gets like a phone call later with the ringtone, and you hear that theme song playing, which you actually heard that in Death Note with the Death Note theme song. With I think Misa's phone was ringing at one time, and you heard the theme song. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm going to show you, I have some screenshots now that I posted on my Twitter page. So I have all these things bookmarked that I pulled up now. So I'll show them and just some things to further comment on. And let's go. So here is the first one with Hilda. This is a famous quote with Hilda talking to Gene saying, "Oh, do you want to keep running away? Will you keep running away? And that's the thing, too, of Gene. You see the scars on his face there. There's a few scenes where you see him, like, not wearing a shirt or anything. He's got these scars all over his entire body. They don't really explain how that happened. It's just he's lived a rough life, I suppose. So, Hilda yelling at him. Here's, it is the Anten 7. Episode 15. Again, like, the animation, just like the expressions the characters make and everything. Spectacular, man. Absolutely loved it. Here is Lord Hazanko, who's the big bad of the series. And his voice is pretty cool. He's got a deep voice. I am Lord Hazanko, you fools. So, you got him. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. Like I said, Fred is constantly helping them with, because they're always running low on money. So he's like, do this, do that. And in episode 18, he says they got to compete in this wrestling tournament. There's this woman who keeps winning. And Fred had made an agreement with her years and years ago that if she won like 3 times in a row, he'd have to marry her. So this is the third time. If she wins, she's going to marry Fred. And Fred's like, no, I don't want to marry her. What are you doing? And it turns out it's all female wrestling. So Gene has to cross-dress. And Aisha is like, oh, I'll wrestle. But they're like, no, you can't wrestle because you're part of the Katara. You got superpowers. So she's wrestling with this mask on in this really sexy outfit. And she comes in, and actually the one character in the tournament is part of the Anten 7 as well. But she comes in and, like, you see the booba right there, this really sexy, almost like Anne from Persona 5, in this outfit here with the mask. And then she shows up, and this is her with doing her transformation where she turns into like a tiger. And it's like, God damn, dude. Way to go, Aisha. So, yeah, just like the expression, like I said, the expression of the characters. There's Gene just getting wasted with the fang, and he's blushing, and Melfina like, oh, Gene, you've had too much to drink. What are you doing? Look at him, he's got like, what, 3 shot glasses, 3 martini glasses, a pint, a bottle, another bottle. You go, Gene. So yeah, and like the sceneries and the music. This scene right here, Melfina is actually singing a song, and Harry hears it. And this is when Melfina and Harry have their heart-to-heart, and Harry sort of confesses that he loves her. And like the whole scenery, the aesthetics and everything. Beautiful, man. Like, anime looks nice and polished now, but there's a certain thing about like the backgrounds, and just, you can tell this is sort of like hand-drawn, and everything now is like all CGI bullshit. There's no CGI whatsoever in this series. Absolutely beautiful. The characters all look amazing. I loved it, man. So, okay, here's the infamous hot spring episode. I think I could show this because there's no nipple. It's just ass and booba. But what happens is Gene is running low on caster bullets, and he has to go seek out the powerful wizard on this planet here, which has a bunch of hot springs. And, everyone's taking it all in. And these two here are the ancient wizards. And what happens is there's a third one that... The 2 of them are men, and the third one is a female. So they're like, all right, Gene, you got to go out there and get pictures of this woman for us. And this is them watching the tape of her undressing. It's just great. So here you have Suzuka, which, holy fuck, dude. Like, these characters are so attractive looking. You got some ass shot. Like, what are you doing in the woman's spa, Gene? Slapping him. Look at his face. And here he is with all the cuts. Like I said, you saw him without a shirt on and everything. He's got, like, cuts all over his body. It's like, what happened to Gene? Here's Melfina, which, god damn, dude. And she was complaining about how, we'll just go past it real quick because I don't know how YouTube's going to handle that. But she was complaining how the water isn't hot enough for her, so she has to bathe in the fucking lava. So it's just hilarious. And Gene, like, what happens is he keeps getting close to this woman that he's trying to get the pictures of, but this snowball keeps hitting him and knocking him down. That's why he landed in Suzuka's tub and then Aisha's tub, and then eventually he gets the video of this woman, and they're all watching it, and it's like they're blushing. The old man here's got a nosebleed. It's like, fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely hilarious, man. One of the best. So then, I've sort of talked about spoilers, so whatever. So, of course, they make their way to the Galactic Ley Line, and Gene, with these caster bullets he got from these guys here, they say once you use these caster shells, it takes part of your life with you. So as he's firing these shells, he's defeating his opponents, right? But he's also being inflicted pain as well. And just some intense stuff going up against Lord Hazanko. Ron and Harry end up being defeated pretty early and make their way back. And Harry pretty much dies, but becomes the computer of their spaceship. and then there's the final battle with Jean and Hazanko. And prior to this, get more information as to where the galactic ley line is. Jean actually infiltrates a prison, and it's a cool like prison break episode where he's in the prison. It's got like this really intense gravity, and they break free, and it's some cool stuff. He like gets a magnet or something and floats up to the top, and then the Outlaw Star rescues him. But just like, again, the way that old school 90s animation does things, like just look at how good this is with the wrinkles, with half the mask broken, the red eye. It's so fucking cool. Jean's face right there. Melfina looking on in horror. These are all screenshots I took, by the way. That's why I posted them on the Twitter. And them firing their attacks at each other. And then there's also a sort of like a mech battle where Hazanko fused with the ship, and then Jean was using the Outlaw Star ship, and some great stuff. And then here's the ending right here. You get a beautiful scene between Jean and Melfina where they're kissing. And then this is as the season, or not even season, the series ends. You get this as Bo Billingsley actually did the narration. And if you don't know, Bo Billingsley voices Jet Black in Cowboy Bebop, as well as who did he voice? Barrett in Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, among other things. But those are probably his most famous roles. But yeah, there's Jean. He ends up getting a haircut. Suzuka. It's just gonna be him and Jim going on their adventure. But one by one, Melfina shows up. Suzuka, Aisha, we're going with you too. So they're going off on other adventures. So great series, man. I highly recommend it. My friend Justin actually told me that there's a spin-off series called Angel Links, which I'll have to probably check that out at some point. But the Blu-ray is available. You can find this probably online for like $20, all places, Best Buy, Amazon, Right Stuff, wherever you'd buy Blu-rays. And I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it for whatever reason, you gotta watch it, man. It's great. I do think it's better than Cowboy Bebop at this point after having just rewatched this recently. I did a review of Cowboy Bebop last summer when I rewatched that, so check that out in the Anime Reviews playlist if you haven't already. But otherwise, my next review is going to be the anime series Gun Sword, which I'm currently still watching, so probably another week or two I'll have a video on that. And then in the near future, I'll be finally starting my watch of Bleach, so look forward to those reviews when I start that series. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below, and stay tuned for more videos coming soon.